Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be the invisible scars of the relationship. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please subscribe. So, you were in a narcissistic relationship. Perhaps you're looking to exit it. Perhaps it's a family member, sibling, aunt, uncle, mom, dad, romantic interest, neighbor, whomever, teacher. Point being is there are invisible scars from this relationship that will have to be healed. And believe me when I tell you, there are many of them. There are scars that people don't see. Let's zoom out for a moment. Let's say that you break your arm, and I hope to God you didn't and you don't, but let's say you do, or you did. You have to go to the doctor. The doctor resets the arm, you put it in a cast, and then the arm heals properly. The bones meld together, and here we go. You're almost as good as new, maybe even better than new, but most likely there will be a scar there somewhere, certainly on the bone. Point being, you've mended, you've healed, and that is a physical ramification of breaking a bone. Narcissistic abuse isn't like that. Narcissistic abuse is under the radar many times. There are physical abuse issues, yes, absolutely, but however, for this video, there are mental, emotional, financial, spiritual, so many different ways that the narcissistic relationship scars you, and many of these are invisible. Let's say your emotions, as an example. Let's say before you met the narcissist, you were doing well, everything was going great, and you had an excellent existence, you had money in the bank, a great job, great social circle, network of friends, hobbies, your family loved you, everything was going great, and then lo and behold, you meet the narcissist. What happens then? Well, the narcissist manipulated you most likely and sold you a bill of goods, and most likely wanted to extract your resources from you for a period of time. And I can assure you, if you made it this far in the video, they did just that. Throughout the body of the relationship, what happened? You were being stonewalled. You were given the silent treatment. You were not being responded to. You were being ghosted. You were being gaslit. You experienced rage fits, on and on and on. All these things you had never experienced before because you did not encounter a first-hand relationship with a narcissist. Now you have it in the past, and or you are processing it. You are healing these wounds from the relationship. And there are so many wounds, so many invisible wounds. Like I said, your emotions. Maybe right now as you're watching the video, maybe this is your first video you're ever consuming. And what are you doing? Perhaps you are experiencing anxiety, you're getting anxious. Or perhaps you are experiencing anger and or frustration about what the narcissist did to you and how they did not tell you the truth about who they are and what they were doing, which I'll get into in a moment. Perhaps you are shedding tears as you're watching this video. Remember, again, today, June 1st, is World Narcissistic Awareness Day. It's a day to be celebrated, if I may say that. It's a day to be recognized, to be honored, to stay vigilant, and to understand that if you have come through the narcissistic abusive cycle, then you are one of the absolutely incredibly strong and galvanized individuals. You are now blessed with a superpower. You now speak the same language as myself. But it doesn't mean you don't have to heal wounds. Many of these are invisible. What about the spiritual side to the narcissistic relationship? Yes, there is a very deep spiritual side, and I'll prove it to you right now. Let's say you were in a romantic interest with an individual before you met the narcissist. Maybe you were in a few, who knows? College sweetheart, things like that. Maybe you were married and you got divorced, who knows? But these were with healthier and or stable individuals who had your best interest at heart, most likely. On top of that, they were not trying to criticize you or tear you down. Excuse me, or berate you or gaslight you or do all the nasty things the narcissist does. Thank you for saying bless me, by the way, I appreciate that. Having said those things, the spiritual side of a narcissistic relationship, it is, the reason why that is, many reasons. One is because you are being groomed, and you have been groomed throughout the body of the relationship. You've been trained to put the narcissist in front of yourself to the detriment of yourself. That's exactly why you were always on call. That's why you were living your life on standby. That's why you were putting this individual and their needs and wants way in front of yourself. And you would put even their extended family members' needs and wants in front of yourself. You would do the same thing with anybody who the narcissist directed you to help out. That's what the narcissist wanted you to do. Remember, that's why you were an errand person, a chauffeur, person that pays the bills, that plans the vacations, that raises the kids, that makes them look good, that juggles so many different things while you don't even have time for yourself. But the spiritual side of the narcissistic relationship, let's zoom into that. That's an invisible scar, because that's why many times you will have dreams post-narcissistic relationship, and my hope is they dissipate over time. That's my experience, at least. But for a period of time, you'll have dreams that will be some of the most surreal dreams that you've ever experienced, and these will stay with you. Now, let's zoom into dreams for a minute. Let's say you have dreams. Sometimes you remember them, sometimes you don't. If you want a good tip on how to remember your dreams, put a journal and a pen and pad next to your nightstand, and when you are experiencing the dream, turn your light on, write down anything you can possibly think of about the dream, and address it in the morning. That's a tip for you. However, when you are post-narcissistic relationship, many times you have dreams that are so vivid, i.e. even nightmares about the narcissist and the situation and what has happened and what could be happening. I'm not trying to trigger you, I'm letting you know that there is a spiritual side to this relationship, because it's unlike any kind of relationship you've ever been a part of. Bear in mind, when you met the narcissist, most likely you experienced the euphoric stage, the happiness stage. In other words, you were the flavor of the month and everything was going swimmingly, and you couldn't believe that this person was single and or that they showed such great interest in you. Remember, that is like the shiny paint job on a old car and or jalopy that doesn't have an engine that functions. The exterior looked great. All the words that the narcissist was saying to you were unbelievable. They ensnared you in the relationship, but the truth of the matter is that at the core, the narcissist is that car that won't run. It has no engine. You were the engine that was providing the fuel source for the relationship. That was your job. You just didn't know it. Now you do. But so many invisible scars of the narcissistic relationship, they go on and on. How about if you're a child, one of your parents was and or is a narcissist? Were you silenced? Were you taught to just keep the family secrets in line? Were you taught to not show your emotions? In other words, do not bite your tongue and do exactly what the narcissist wanted you to do. Most likely you experienced all those things and many more. In other words, your feelings weren't listened to. You weren't being paid attention to. You weren't raised properly, most likely. And you may question that. What does being raised properly mean, Andrew? My definition of that would be in a kind, loving, healthy, stable mom and dad family setting, if that's possible. I understand not all of us grew up that way. I get it. I understand it. I'm saying if one of your parents was a narcissist, I can assure you that their needs came before yours. They probably didn't show interest in your sporting events, your schooling. Perhaps if you began dating later in life, let's say you were a teenager or in college, they most likely didn't approve of your partner, or they tried to try to divide your relationship with that person. In other words, drive a wedge between you and your potential spouse. Or they wanted to learn all about their spouse, your spouse, to weaponize that information against you and or them in the future. Keep in mind, the narcissist can't sit still. They need to always be manipulating. They need to always be destroying, plotting, deceiving, taking. They want to play the victim, yet they want to play the bully. The narcissist, speaking of bully, they are a coward and a bully. They're essentially a child trapped in an adult body. They are feeble, they are weak. They have the loudest voice in the room usually, because that carries weight and volume. And if many people that don't have the wisdom on the narcissistic abusive cycle and or narcissism in general, they will listen to the voice that has the loudest in the room, the loudest voice in the room. That's not what you should be listening to. You should be listening to nobody but yourself. Play that again. But when you're in these relationships and you don't have the tools from my channel, you don't understand what you're up against. So let's go back again. Let's say you fell in love with someone who turned out to be a narcissist. Well, you weren't taught narcissism in school, so how could you know what you were up against? You just fell in love and you believed that that individual fell in love with you. Bear in mind, the narcissist can't love. They don't love. They're incapable of love. They only care about one person on the planet, and it's not you, it's themselves. That is a fact. That is why they blow up each and every relationship they become a part of. It's just a matter of time. Every narcissistic relationship has an expiration date. You should now know that. It's a fact. That is why, think about the narcissist that you're thinking about. Think about how they jump from person to person so quickly, whether it's romantic or not. They seem to always have new friends popping up. They seem to always be on their smartphones. They seem to be always on the go. They seem to be always triangulating you, or they did in the past, saying that this person, whoever it is, does A, B, and C for me. You don't do that. You should really be doing that, because what's going on? Notice what I just said there. Doing for me. That's what the narcissist wants. Really pay attention to the message. They want you working for them under the guise of them caring for you. That's not how these relationships are. How it is that the narcissist wants you in that trance-like state, the narcissistic fog, where you are being devalued and you are working harder and harder and harder for the narcissist to the detriment of yourself. That's why when the relationship ended, if it did end, it ended one of a few ways. One, you were discarded because they had your replacement lined up, most likely because your resources had dwindled, your bank account was at zero, your health was ailing, you had no more social circle, you were isolated from your family and friends, maybe you lost your job, maybe you couldn't pay your bills, maybe you just weren't believing in yourself. In other words, your self-confidence was shot. Perhaps you're experiencing anxiety all the time. You were just so beaten down. But how did you get that way? Think about it. One common denominator. That's right, the narcissist. They placed you there because each and every day you were living with them, or each and every day you were with them, you were walking around on eggshells. You were experiencing anxiety. You weren't yourself. You couldn't breathe. You couldn't function properly. You couldn't sleep. Perhaps you gained weight or lost weight. You couldn't wrap your head what you were up against because you didn't know what you were up against. Now you're getting the wisdom on my channel. Now you're understanding that this thing called narcissism, it is prevalent all over the planet, and you need to have boundaries. You need to be able to say the strongest word in the English language, which is no. When you say no to something or someone, you are saying yes to yourself. All the messages that I create are meant to empower you, to have you become awakened and aware, to have you understand your value, that you should not be in any narcissistic relationship, no matter who the individual is, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, lover, neighbor, coworker, whomever, for 1 minute longer than you need to be. Now, I do understand many people are unfortunately trapped in the relationship. I get it. I know what it's like. It's not a good feeling. But if you're getting the wisdom and you're understanding that, wow, one or more of my relationships are not serving me, I'm being abused, I'm being treated like a sounding board, I'm being invalidated, I'm not being listened to, and all I'm doing is giving. Maybe I'm loaning money or time or giving my energy, and I'm not doing anything for myself. If you get the wisdom, I would strongly suggest you either exit that relationship, utilize Gray Rock, or slowly have a plan to remove yourself from the relationship or relationships. That's what you must do. The longer you are in these relationships, the more the higher possibility of damage being done to you. I mentioned not too long ago verbal abuse. This is huge. It's on my radar a lot recently. If anybody in your life is verbally abusing you, they are saying you can't do anything, you won't be anything, you won't amount to be anything, just be satisfied with your everyday average life, or you're a loser, whatever these kind of things are, don't listen to those words. Tune them out, drown them out. They're not real. That person is talking about themselves. They are not talking about you. Think about it. They want you to not believe in yourself because they don't believe in themselves. It is so apparent once you zoom out and you understand who you're dealing with. This is why, again, post-narcissistic relationship, whether you were discarded or not, once you do the inner work, once you heal childhood wounds, once you process with the relationship that you went through, you will figure out there were other relationships you went through too. And you remove these people and you process everything in time, in your time. Once you do these things and you rise through the ashes like a phoenix, this is now a superpower. It sincerely is. People may tell you, no, what are you talking about? It's nothing. It was just a relationship. Move on. What's the big deal? No, it wasn't. And no, you don't know what you're talking about. And again, if you're on the channel and you made it this far in the video, I am certain you've experienced at least one toxic relationship that you had to remove yourself from in any capacity. That's the path. That's what you must do. If not now, when? Get the message. People don't want you believing in yourself because they don't believe in themselves. Another fact for you, people don't understand what they can't comprehend. Meaning, if they haven't gone through the narcissistic cycle, they can't wrap their head around it. They can read all the books, they can watch all the videos and think they know what they're talking about. But unless they walked a day in your shoes, they have no idea what's going on. And these are the invisible scars that are in the back of your mind. That's why many times you'll be in a car or at a restaurant or something and you will listen to a song that comes on. You'll listen to a music song and you'll be like, oh my gosh, that took me back to when I was with the narcissist. Same thing with a cologne or perfume. It's an invisible scar. It can take you back. Same thing with a dish of food, a country, a city, a word, a name. All of these things have the ability to trigger you. Now, once you've healed, most of these things won't trigger you. Eventually, my hope is all of them won't trigger you, but we all have to do our own work on ourselves and insulate ourselves and know our boundaries. But the invisible scars of the relationship, in the beginning, they are all around you. People can't see them. You can feel them, and you need to heal them. Think about it. You can't just put a Band-Aid on these invisible scars and hope they're going to go away. That's most likely what you did with your childhood wounds. You just didn't address them. That's what happened with me. And that is exactly why I entered the narcissistic relationship, because I didn't know my value. I didn't know what I was about to enter into. Now I do, and I've healed. And I've experienced the dark night of the soul. I've lost so many friends that I can't even explain. I've had to rebuild. That's what I'm doing as I'm creating this video. It's fine. It's all good. The whole point is this experience called life is your experience. It's not what the narcissist wants it to be for you. Get the message. So healing the invisible scars of the relationship, there will be many, and these will heal over time. But in time, in your time, you will do it. Be patient, be stoic, be calm. Know your worth, know your value. Know that you are a beautiful, abundant human being, and that your energy was taken from you for a period of time, which was the length of the relationship. No longer is that happening. You're now insulating yourself, protecting yourself. You have boundaries. You're now beginning to live your best life. So guys, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon. Stay true, stay blessed. Continue to become awakened and aware, and understand you are the priority. You come first, second, and third. Have a great day. Again, remember, today is Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day. Spread the love, pay it forward, do the best you can. No matter where you are on the planet, you are not alone. God bless you. I love you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. All right, bye, guys.